Keir Starmer was left really embarrassed in Albania when the Albanian president said no, they won't accept any returns from the UK. I'll play that clip in a moment, but were we being told the truth when Bridget Phillipson stepped in to say not to worry, it was never on the list, we were never planning to send them there in the first place? Or as the Express referred to her, bumbling Bridget, because she was asked live on air what she thought about this rejection from Albania, and she responded to say that it was never really on the list. So in this video, very, very quickly, I present to you one or two exhibits. You can decide whether or not you think we've been told porky pies. And just very briefly, I'd like to say a huge thank you to the thousands of you that have gone over to subscribe to my Black Belt Wealth channel here on YouTube. I'll link that below, especially the last two videos, one on pensions and the major changes, and the one before on cryptocurrencies and things like that. Those videos have really blown up. Thank you so much for watching them. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to put a lot more time into YouTube here. I really enjoy these videos on all three channels. And please do also subscribe here. That does help my videos reach a wider audience. Thank you so much. I am truly grateful. Let me play you the clip first. This was a live broadcast by Sky at the time. It's not live now, you understand. But it was live at the time. They had some audio issues, so they had to cut away from the Albanian Prime Minister, but then they did come back to him, and just in time, as it happens, to catch this very comment here. Take a listen to this, and then we'll talk about it.
There, but let's take you back to these comments live from the Albanian capital.
Countries, if we were open to it, and we said no, because we are loyal to the marriage with Italy, and the rest is just love.
So there it is. He said, nope, we're not taking them here. We are loyal to our marriage with Italy, and that's that. So he said there's no chance of them going back there. Now, obvious question, why would Keir Starmer be in Albania if there was no plan at all to talk with Albania to send them back there? You could just say that it's the smashing the gangs thing and those that arrive and originate from Albania, perhaps. Now, Bridget Phillipson, when asked, said that this was never on the list. However, the astute among you would have noticed the time of this comment, because that's important. So when you're looking for previous inconsistent statements, or you want to put a previous statement to somebody to say that it contradicts what they're now saying, look at the time frames, look at when things happened. This happened on the 15th. You can get the date from this bit of YouTube here. It was on the 15th of May, i.e. a couple of days ago, at 12:54 in the afternoon. The time was up here. And we know it was live because it was broadcast live at the time. If you go back and watch it now, it is obviously an on-demand video for the purposes of TV license. I'll talk about that in other videos. If you watched it live, by the way, you would need a TV license. By the by. However, allow me to exhibit this post to you here from Keir Starmer himself on the 15th of May, the same day, a couple of days ago. This is timed at 11:40, an hour or so before he was refused by the Albanian Prime Minister. His post reads as follows. Make of this what you will. I'm not telling you what to think, but you may think one thing or another. Working together with Albania, we will deter, detect, and return illegal migrants. By tackling illegal migration overseas and smashing the gangs at source, we're making our streets safer and easing pressure on public services. That's my plan for change in action. And just over an hour later, the Albanian Prime Minister said, no, we're not doing that. We don't accept that. So that raises the question, did Keir Starmer post that because that was the plan? And was that indeed always the plan? And has he really been snubbed live on air to say, no, we're not doing this? Well, that's not the only exhibit for you, because allow me to present to you an article from the BBC in March earlier this year. And there's a few other things as well before I let you go. But from March, the BBC reported from the Home Office and said failed asylum seekers could be sent to the Balkans under plans being considered by the government. Home Office officials have discussed proposals to set up overseas return hubs to house asylum seekers who've had their claims rejected and all appeals exhausted, which I think it makes it somewhat meaningless, but I've dealt with that in my previous video. But the important bit here is where they talk about the current proposals. Now, this was from statements made by the Home Office. I understand from the BBC. It says the current proposals are focused on countries in the Western Balkans, a region which includes Albania. And the Times also reported on this and said ministers have yet to open formal talks, but government sources said that they were planning to approach countries in the Western Balkans, including Albania, Serbia, Bosnia, and North Macedonia. So, according to the reports of what ministers said back in March, they were planning to open these talks with Albania, and they were planning to send failed asylum seekers to Albania. So it seems that he was, on the face of it, snubbed live on air, and Bridget Phillipson is contradicting that statement. In fact, she said in this, when she was sort of caught on the hoof, she said there was never any intention to seek a return hub with Albania. We know that they've got an exclusive arrangement with Italy. He was due to be there already to have conversations with Albania and how we tackled organised crime. They're a key partner in doing this. He's also there for some other things as well. So if I'm being the advocate here, there is an argument that there was never any plan. There is an argument that that is the truth and that there was never really any intention to discuss doing this and sending them there. But I have to also bring up, when I was looking at things for this video, I have to bring this up as well. This is an article on Bridget Phillipson's own website. Think of this what you will, but she says here, this is her own words. The British public can easily see through politicians who don't believe in what they are saying and who only say what they think voters want to hear. They don't trust them. One of the many lessons from Donald Trump's victory is that politicians who appear sincere in their belief in transparently catastrophic policies can be more successful than those who display admirable self-doubt. It is an unhappy message for those among us of a cautious disposition who value reason and evidence, but a powerful one nonetheless. I believe that in the medium and the long term, the public will reward people who stick to their beliefs. So on the one hand, we have her now saying that that was never the plan, but we have direct reports from what ministers have apparently said back in March that there was a plan to discuss with Albania to send failed asylum seekers to Albania. And not only that, after all of the criticism that many of them have made of the Rwanda policy that would have sent those to Rwanda who didn't qualify for the proper asylum claim here because they came through a safe country like France, of all the criticism they made of that policy, they now try to come up with a policy to find somewhere to send them, but only after they've exhausted all possible avenues of appeal. But at the same time, whilst announcing this in Albania, they have the Albanian Prime Minister saying, no, we're not entering talks. We're not having that here. Even though it was reported in March that that was the plan, he says it wasn't the plan. And so now Bridget Phillipson, on their behalf, says that was never the plan. Make of that what you will, but that seems a little bit disingenuous to me. And people ask me why I do these videos. It's because I don't like anything coming close to being less than transparent and that seems a little bit disingenuous. And I'm being really polite with my words here. It takes a lot. Please do subscribe to the channel. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.